sounds.
Yes, I'm here in Austin with my
South
good
Austin.
friend Thom the Poet,
That used to be.
and he's going to give you a little bit of sample of himself, and
Okay, sure enough.
he might read a few poems. And,
Yep.
Okay, so Thom,
Yes.
we met, what, 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Longer than that, I think.
And it's funny, we met at AIPF,
Yes, we did.
and you was a host.
Yeah.
And why I came to your reading, I don't know, but I'm glad I did.
Oh, me too.
And because you have given me a lot of confidence to get on stage and read, and you've given me a lot of places to go to. And I notice you do this with everybody.
Yep.
Anybody that come up there and you see they have, okay, he might have a little talent.
Right.
You bring them on.
Put it out there, because unless we share who we are, we're never going to realize the other people out there are waiting for us to see them.
Yes.
So we've got to have open mics, and really open mics, not just, oh, we can't have you because you're too fat, too thin, too old, too shunned, whatever it is, we can't have you. And you realize that's not an open mic, you know?
Right.
And a lot of those things like crazy ideas, like charging for an open mic, that's silly. And trying to have empires of poets, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But just a simple basic thing of like a circle where people sit, listen to each other, and they make things up, improvise, memorize. That's as old as before the printed word. People would sit around campfires and share stories and memorize stories and improvise. So long live all of us.
Yes. So you've
Yeah.
you always done poetry, or
Yeah.
I know you have a little music sometime.
Oh, I love working with musicians. Absolutely love working with them. I work with Word Jazz Low Stars. I've done that for maybe 15 years, and they have very strict rules. The first is that whatever you do is cool, but remember you're only one voice. There's a choir, and every voice needs to be heard. And I thought that makes sense. And the other one is that don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself. Don't repeat yourself. That makes sense too.
Yes.
Because if you're just operating on what you did before, that'll only get to where you are now. But if you operate on what what you haven't done, then you may get something new happening that you're surprised by.
Yes.
Constantly surprised by.
Yeah. So you know how many years you've been doing this?
Yeah. It's been several lifetimes, and I've given it up so many times because I think no one's listening, and what's the point? And then I realized, wait a minute, I've tried a lot of other things, and I've come to an end to them, but I haven't come to an end of poetry. I've always found another poet, another poem, another insight, another vision, another epiphany, another moment, another thing that redeems. Like you may have a long period of nothingness, arid, desert, drought, nothing, and then suddenly a flood comes in, and you realize, wow, I'm surfing this tsunami. Where did it come from? Who knows? But the amazing thing is, the old saying, the Zen saying was, sit by a river long enough and you shall see the heads of your enemies floating past.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good there.
All you
That's
gotta
good.
do is be still, listen, and let things happen. And people will tell you what they want to tell you. And all stories are valid. Leonard Cohen, he has a book called Let Us Compare Mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. He has so many wise words in his books. So I used to do street poetry, handed out on the streets for years and years and years, because I always thought poetry belongs to people. And there's an English poet called Adrian Mitchell, who only died about 2 years ago, working class poet, wonderful human being, and he said, most people ignore most poetry because most poetry ignores most people.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
And I thought that's a piece of truth. If
Yeah.
you can't see something to get from what people are doing, then it may as well not exist. It's
Right.
got to have something for you. My friend Kenneth Graham Smeaton, an Australian poet, he said, try and see a poet giving value for your time. Try and see a poet giving value for your mind. Right?
Yeah.
Because don't worry, it's just a plane.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
The thing is that we are investing our time, energy, and what's called sweat equity.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing to do with money. nothing to do with possession, domination, control of anyone or anything. It's just being allowed to live in the world without going to war on each other, without killing each other, just generally coexisting in the middle of mad traffic. We don't care. We're still here, and they're still here, but we can coexist. And that's the beauty of poetry. It's the promise of collaboration, community, communality, and consciousness.
You know, like I said, I've been on a lot of Zoom,
Yeah,
and it seemed like all the poets that I met from Australia
yeah,
have that same attitude.
yeah. Because it's the biggest country. I mean, it's a desert. It's the oldest country. They found boomerangs in the pyramids. Every time I go back, they take the original inhabitants' timeline further back. Like when I was a child, I was told the Aborigines only here 20,000 years. Then it became 40,000 years. Then 60,000 years.
Yeah.
And then found evidence now around campfires, carbon dating, 75,000 years.
Wow.
I can't count that much.
Right.
They were
right.
here, and that wisdom is how do you live in a desert? Because it is a desert.
Right.
And the answer is you sleep a lot. You only hunt for a few hours a day. You get what you need. You carry nothing.
Yeah.
All you have is a dilly bag and a spear, and you work in tribes, right? Now we do that. Poets have tribes and clans. They have people, they're affinity groups that we relate to better. Other people have got academic clans and they've got career clans, but poets only got each other.
Right.
There's no support structure. There's no one saying, hey, yeah, it's real good, here's $10,000. It happens to musicians occasionally. I was told a story by Steve Brooks. He said he was up in the country way out west, and Russell Crowe listened to his friend's music and came up afterwards and said, that was really good. Here's $10,000 to get you through the hard times. That's actually happened. Now, the gift I've got is the gift of being allowed to live, right? That's the real gift. If I'm allowed to live in every moment fully and completely, then that's the richest thing I'll ever have. It ain't anything you own, hold on to, because it all goes before and after. You come with nothing, you die with nothing, you have to carry the rest around. Too heavy, too heavy. This is excess baggage. But even poetry, you have to lose it all.
Yeah.
If you try and hang on to it, it disappears anyway. And people's memories, they're very selective. But what they will remember is kindness, consideration, compassion, and community. What they won't remember is when you're angry, upset, or they will remember it, but not in a good way. So it's, so they'll always have a mark against you. Oh, that guy didn't listen to me. He's talking about himself all the time.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to meet some really, really fine people, and wonderful things have happened. And just to be allowed to be amongst different groups of diverse people is a privilege and a pleasure.
Right.
So every open mic is always unknown. We don't know if it's going to be on. We don't know how long it's going to go. We don't know who's going to turn up. And anything can happen. I like that. I like it because I think it's a reflection of the society at large, is that smaller circles help keep themselves alive.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you start getting into Woodstock or Altamont, it's too big.
Yeah.
People can't relate to each other personally.
Yeah.
And poetry is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
It should be your own truth speaking, singing through you.
Yeah.
And if it isn't, well, whose life are you living?
Right.
You're borrowing someone's clothes, someone's thoughts, someone's feelings. You're stealing someone's identity. Live it.
When you first came here to Austin, was this what you wanted, or this is just something that?
Oh, that's a good one. Thank you. Well, what happened was, I used to work with a lot of bands in Australia. I had my own band called We Are Alive, and we had a residency in Melbourne. And I worked with beautiful musicians, from classical musicians to folk musicians and bands. And one eco-feminist band was called Mother Gong. it had 2 poets and 2 musicians. The musicians were Taurians, so they did all the work, and the poets did all the talking. It was a perfect setup. So I did shows in Melbourne, and we had a thing called People in Performance on community radio in Melbourne. And we do Midnight to Dawn poetry music. Really good. And anyway, I ended up touring with them in England and through America. And that's how I met Wendy. And then I came back with a person who set up the band called Gong that I worked with, David Allen, and came through Austin, did a backyard show because there wasn't any, the band wasn't big, so there wasn't a market, as they say. No market for the stuff. And so we had to work out where to live, in San Francisco or Austin. The only 2 places seemed habitable, you know. But San Francisco's got 101% occupancy. It's too many people, and it can't expand because you've got the hills and the earthquake zone, San Andreas fault line. So that's the end of San Francisco. And now they've got more homeless than we got. You know, you have to pay to be homeless there. It's expensive. So we're not there yet, but we're Austin, you know. So 1992 we arrived, and I thought, wait a minute, this is the capital city of Texas. It hasn't got any poetry venues or any poetry festivals. Got to change that. Got to change it. So I used to go to a place, Chicago House, on the corner of 6th and Trinity, which was is a bluestone. It's a college bar now because everything's a college bar. But 2-story bluestone building, ancient, because in the last century, the guy who was the storyteller of Austin, who did a lot of stories and was convicted of bank robbery, he used to have salons and soirees there on Sunday afternoons doing Gilbert and Sullivan songs. So it was a building that had been used for celebration for quite some time. There were 2 women lovers, Peggy and Glenda, who set up this open mic for musicians and for performers in drama plays. So you'd have plays down below, and then you'd have music up top, and then we had poetry up top. And that went really well. But it was hard because we had to raid the music venues. Still are. We still raid the music venues. Because there's no poetry world. There's no poetry cafes, no poetry safe places, and libraries don't like you because you're too loud, and community centers don't like you because you say things like 4-letter words like work and love. And so you've got to make a space like a hermit crab of someone else's space. Because we're in someone else's space at Kickbutt, we're in someone else's place tonight, but it is a dedicated open mic, truly open, so we'll be able to be heard. And they have a house band so they can back us. So Poetry Festival we started with nothing. We didn't have anything at all, didn't have a car. So Hippie Vern was our friend. He's gone now, but Hippie Vern lived in an RV, right, with his cat. And I'd give him 50 cents to go to anyone who might come to the Poetry Festival, and 50 cents back for gas. This is 1992, 93. And so it was all done on volunteer, sweat equity. We'd beg food from local restaurants and feed the poets. Any money at the door was a donation that went to the people who came the furthest way. Like if you came from Australia or England, you would be given whatever came to the door towards your fares. Never met the fares, of course, but it was all done as goodwill. That hasn't changed. We just don't have anyone to do that. There's no one around to work with, because if it was, then things would change. But the people I loved then, Herman Nelson, you know him, remember him?
Right.
John Berry, Sue Littleton, and then the second level of people who came after the originals were Barbara Carr and Deb Akers and that, and they sustained it as people got older and left to the other worlds that are out there now. But everything's possible. It just needs someone to do it. And I really believe the answer to ennui and boredom is to create something, and then get out of the ego and create it with people, co-create. So I like chant and response, which is the oldest African form of poetry. And I love sing-alongs, and I love improvisations, because you know that in this moment you're speaking your truth,
Yes.
and it changes all the time. So storytelling, I love that, as long as it's flash, lightning. Give them something to wake them up, because if you're sleeping through this, then I have failed.
Yes.
Did you have any other questions?
No, you said something about flash.
Yeah.
I've noticed this,
Yeah.
and I don't know, have you noticed? Probably have. When somebody have a long poem,
Yeah.
and you start seeing people stretching, doing
yeah,
this,
yeah.
doing
Body
that.
Can't take it.
That's the reason why I started writing short poems.
That's pretty smart.
Because I just want to get your attention
That's right.
and get straight to the point. I don't
Exactly.
want to draw it way out.
No.
But
I got to tell you, there was this Leonard Bernstein who did West Side Story. He said poetry and music are parallel but not equivalent languages. With music, you can immediately apprehend what the person is communicating to you. Your body receives it. With poetry, you have to say, "What is he saying with those? What's going on here?" It is not. It's not easy, because some poets play with you. I'll put in all these words no one knows. I'll have polysyllables in there. I'll allude to classical mysteries. And you think, well, you can wank on your own, but not with a crowd. You know? The crowd wants, give us blood, give us truth, give us something that we can nibble on, give us a dream, give us a cloud, give us something that has food for our soul.
Yeah.
Because there is hunger out there, and it's not just physical hunger. There's a hunger for meaning and a hunger for authenticity.
Yes.
People want to hear, are you speaking the truth, or are you wasting our life?
Yes.
Too often, time goes with long poems.
Yes.
Long poems.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful miracle. We're still in this world, so it's still possible to do amazing things.
Yes.
And we're right on the lip of National Poetry Month, which allows us for a short time to practice towards our perfection,
Yes.
which isn't ever going to be perfect, but like the Indians always say, when you're close to the truth, hacha. It means words can never tell the truth, but you're getting close.
Yeah.
Hacha,
Yes.
Hacha, yeah.
Well, you got it. You want to toss out something?
Oh,
Some
yeah,
words?
sure. There is no other place to be but where you are right now. Whatever thoughts you are having are the thoughts you are having right now. There is no other place that will ever be the same again. Quite unique, unframed, this composition of time, space, identity is exactly who you are right now, and it will change. One thing you know is that it will change again. And when you come back to this moment, it will not be the same moment. Like people who leave home and come back and see their parents have aged, but they don't know that their parents have aged because they've been separated by distance and time. Always there's another story to tell, and this story now will never happen again.
Yeah. You got one more, or you just...
Sure. Once upon a time, I was someone else. I didn't know who I was, but I knew I wasn't me. And so I tried normal things. I tried working for a living. I tried running a business. I tried doing everything I could to avoid poetry. It was like the hounds of heaven. How can I avoid these songs that come through me? How can I not listen to the winds and the wildness of things? Well, for a time I was sort of quite numb. I was able to just get by in a job. Everything was well until I had money, I had a house, I had normalcy. And then I realized this is empty. This isn't a dynamic I can actually live within. This is just settling down to a cell, like a monastic cell. And I don't want to be caged or confined. I'm like that bird in the tree up there. I want to just sing as it sings through. And what I'm doing is singing to you.
Yes, I like that. That one there brings back, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Different jobs, you tried everything.
And it just doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all, people ask me.
Yeah.
I had one lady, she ran her own journal.
Right.
And she said, "Would you edit for me?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so I edit for her.
Yeah.
And so then she said, can I tell you something? I'm like, yes. She said, you will never make it
What?
a living on poetry. And I said, who said I was making a living?
Exactly.
And then she said, well, you got this third book out. I said, but that's me. That's for my satisfaction.
Yeah.
And then she said, I was telling about, I'm getting better on the computer. I'm going to take computer classes.
Right.
And she said, well, my husband, he works at NASA.
Oh, yeah?
He hates the computer.
I'm not your husband.
I'm like, where is this going from?
Yeah.
And then I went through a bad time, a relationship with my ex.
Right.
Oh, I did the same thing. I walked out and ran off with another man. And I'm like, and then she deleted me from Facebook. But she didn't only delete me. She deleted almost everybody that was in the Houston area, but she kept those other. Don't know why.
That's why it's a choice, not yours.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay then. I'm like, after you said what you said to me, I didn't care if you ever listened to me. And they used to invite me to Oktoberfest.
Right.
And I'll never forget that we was at an open mic.
Yeah.
And she invited, it was like 5 of us she invited.
Right.
When Oktoberfest came, didn't know nothing about it. And I said, I didn't know nothing about it. Well, I posted it. I said,
you blocked me. You blocked me, so I couldn't get the message.
yeah, I'm like, I didn't see it. Well, you wasn't looking. And I'm like, okay. I'm getting ready to step back from
That's right, one step back.
So then I started talking to a few people.
Yeah.
And they said, did them the same way. And don't nobody know why she just turned on everybody.
Yeah. It's such a waste because there are some people who, well, the Chinese, they assign an animal to every sign, right? I'm an ox. I just keep on going.
Yeah.
Other people are snakes.
Yeah.
You go watch it.
Yeah.
They just, well, okay, that's who you are. That's great. My father once said, always remember what your father says to you. I can't remember what else he said, but it's a joke. And he said, you got to know where people are coming from. If you know where people are coming from, you will not be a victim. But you must work out through their eyes, where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because too often we put ourselves as the most primary event, most consequential thing. We're not. We're a dot in the matrix. We're a blip on the wind. We're a leaf in the sky. We're just transitory. And our time here is a gift.
Yeah.
So we've got to make the best we can. Polish it up. Here we are. How do you like that?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end this. This was great. I enjoyed this. I learned a lot.
Sorry about that.
But hey, I love Austin. Austin is like my home
It is
for
your
poetry.
Home. It is, and they all love you here.
And
also they love you in Los Angeles.
Yes.
At that venue.
Yes, the Maui Sugar Mill.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I come back here, I feel so comfortable, relaxed.
Yeah. So you should.
Yes.
Now we gotta interview you.